7 years of negotiating, Australia's finally signed a free trade deal with Japan. So, can we expect some bargain prices?
Tony Abbott's on the world stage and he's made some sweet deals. Today he's officially signing a trade agreement with South Korea, and last night he made a new pact with Japan.
This will be good for Australia, good for Japan, good for our region and good for the world.
Here's how it works. Since the days of yore, there've been tariffs, sort of like a wall of taxes to stop cheap imported goods coming in and threatening local industries. For decades now, we've been knocking them down bit by bit with free trade deals. So what does today's deal mean? For Japan, they're cutting taxes on Aussie beef, fruit, veggies, seafood, sugar, wine and cheese, which is great news for our farmers and Japanese people who like affordable Aussie produce.
Father was almost vegetarian in his youth, and son ate lots of Australian beef. So this is why we need more Australian beef in Japan.
Our beef exporters will have a better opportunity to sell their products, but for our friends in the rice growing industry, we didn't get any reduction at all in the tariffs that the Japanese are charging. So even within agriculture, there are winners and losers within this agreement.
Here in Australia, we've cut our tariffs on Japanese cars. So if you want a new car, it could be up to $1,500 cheaper. But that's not great for what's left of our car manufacturing industry.
It is going to be hurting our manufacturing sector to some extent that they don't have that protection there anymore.
So the PM's had a political win, and your next car may have just got a bit cheaper, and Pete can finally complete his collection of waving cats. But is this really the great deal we've been waiting for?
Richard Dennis is the Executive Director of the Australia Institute. Now, Richard, does this mean everything from Japan will be magically cheaper?
No, it means a few things will be a little bit cheaper, but we've been knocking down tariffs for a long time now, and there's really not many left to get rid of. So small reductions in the price of some electrical products and the same for cars.
Who are the losers out of this, Richard?
Look, the losers are, well, the car industry. I mean, the government knew 6 months ago that it was doing this deal, and I think one of the reasons it didn't give the industry assistance to them back then was that it knew that getting rid of the tariffs would finish them off. But the taxpayer's actually going to lose out quite a lot. We're about to give up around $1.2 billion in the revenue in the tariffs we were collecting on cars. So $1.2 billion less spent on health and education.
OK, well, let's talk about our primary producers. I'm a country girl. Are the farmers going to be happy?
Look, some of the farmers are a little bit happy, but let's be clear. I mean, a free trade agreement, you could write one in a sentence. There'll be no restrictions on trade. This free trade agreement still prevents Australia exporting a single grain of rice, for example, to Japan. So to call it a free trade agreement is a massive exaggeration. We can't export rice to Japan after this deal's done.
So, Richard, I'm just still trying to get my head around it. Will it be more expensive or cheaper for me to feed my Tamagotchi?
Look, I think there'll be a lot more happy Tamagotchis out there after this deal's done.
Well, thank you very much, Richard, for your time. Unfortunately, next time you're being replaced by someone from the Japan Institute as part of the deal.
Well, they'll be 5% cheaper.
Thanks, Richard.
Thanks a lot.
And Tony was over there in Japan with Australian Ambassador Bruce Miller, getting this deal done side by side. Well, not literally side by side, it's got to be said. He's not happy about it. Look at it. Naughty boys chair, that one.
We'll be back after the break.